Look, if you feel overwhelmed by the numbers, you are not alone. I'm Mr. Greenvestor, and today we're talking about the day you can finally stop. There is a specific day in your financial life where saving more money stops making you richer and actually starts making you poorer. Most people miss this day by 5 or 10 years. They keep stuffing money into a 401k because it feels responsible, but the math says they already crossed the finish line. If you're working a job you don't love just to hit a contribution limit, you might be past the point of no return. Think of it like pushing a boulder up a hill. We keep our heads down and muscles strained, never noticing the slope leveled off miles ago. You're likely following a default script that says work until 65 no matter what your balance sheet actually says. If this kind of clarity matters to you, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's tired of the grind. It helps get these numbers in front of the people who actually need to hear them. There's a moment where your career transitions from a necessity to a hobby. High savers miss it because they don't understand the two-engine framework. Engine number one is your labor, trading time for a paycheck. For the first 15 years, this engine does the heavy lifting. Then, engine number two wakes up. This is your capital. This is compound growth. There is a day when this second engine gets so strong that the first one becomes irrelevant. If you don't find this number, you're trading your best years for money you'll never have the energy to spend. To find your exact moment of freedom, we have to identify the crossover point. This is the specific threshold where your portfolio's annual growth exceeds your annual contributions. And once you hit this, you are no longer the primary driver of your wealth. To see where you stand, you need to run the 7% test. Take your current invested balance and multiply it by 0.07, which represents a conservative average return for a diversified portfolio over the long haul. Compare that result to what you actually save each year. If that 7% growth is double your annual savings, the relationship has flipped. You're now the junior partner in your own wealth creation. Think of it through the rule of 72. At a 7% return, your money doubles every 10 years without you adding a single penny. Let's look at a fast starter. Imagine you're 30, earning $60,000 with $150,000 saved. You are currently saving $12,000 a year, but when we run the math, 7% of your portfolio is $10,500. You are almost at the one-to-one crossover point. And even if you have a small car loan or some student debt, your money engine is about to outwork your labor engine. You are nearly at the point where your manual contributions are just a small bonus to the main event. Now look at a mid-career pivot. You're 35, earning $85,000, with $300,000 saved. You save $15,000 a year, but 7% of your pile is $21,000. Your money is already doing 1.4 times more work than you are. This is cruising altitude. A plane needs afterburners to fight gravity during takeoff. But at 30,000 feet, the pilot throttles back because the heavy lifting is done. Most people keep the afterburners on until the fuel runs out. If your 300,000 doubles every 10 years, it becomes 600,000 by 45 and 1.2 million by 55. That happens even if you stop contributing today. You have to stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like an owner. You aren't pulling the carriage anymore. You're sitting inside it. But even when the math is this clear, most people can't let go of the handle. I call this the one more year syndrome. It is a psychological trap that catches the most disciplined savers. Think of a lawyer I know. Let's call him David. David is 51, makes $320,000 a year, and has 1.2 million saved. By every objective measure, he has won. If he never added another dollar, his pile would grow to over 2.3 million in 12 years. He could stop the 70-hour weeks today, but he won't. He tells himself he needs 2 million before he can breathe. The problem is that once he hits 2 million, the goalpost will move to 3 million. When you've spent 30 years tying your identity to your ability to produce and save, stopping feels like a death. You feel like you're losing your edge or becoming irresponsible. The reality is that David isn't working for the money anymore. He's working to soothe his anxiety. He's trading his healthiest remaining years for a number he's already mathematically guaranteed to exceed. If you find yourself saying just one more bonus, or just until the kids finish school, when the coast number says you're done, you aren't planning. You're stalling. You are afraid of the vacuum that appears when the saver identity is removed. You have to realize that at this stage, your biggest risk isn't a market crash. It's the risk of arriving at 80 with a massive bank account and a body that can no longer use it. We think progress is a straight line. If you need 2 million and hit 1 million, you assume you're only halfway there in time. You remember how hard that first million was, so you brace for another 20 years. But you're actually only 7 to 10 years away. This is the exponential takeover. Take a 40-year-old earning $100,000 with 2 kids and a mortgage. You save $20,000 a year, but you have $600,000 in the bank. You feel behind because of the house and college costs. The reality? Your retirement is a runaway freight train. At 7%, that pile adds $42,000 a year to your net worth. That's double your manual contribution. You feel like you're doing the work, but that pile becomes 1.2 million by age 50 and 2.4 million by 60, even if you stop saving now. Grinding for 10 more years might only move your retirement date up by 18 months. Is that trade worth missing your kid's childhood? Every extra $100,000 you save only adds about $330 a month in retirement spending. Is a decade of 60-hour weeks worth $300 a month when you're 80? For most, the answer is no. But without seeing the curve, people stay on the treadmill. There is another layer to this that most people miss, and it's about what happens when the household changes. We need to talk about the widow's penalty and how survivor benefits actually work. Most couples plan their retirement as a unit, but the math shifts in a cruel way when one spouse passes. Think about Sarah and John. John was the higher earner, and he decided to claim Social Security early at 62 because he was worried about the system's funding. He took a permanent 30% reduction. When John passed away at 75, Sarah was 72. She had her own small benefit, but as the survivor, she was entitled to step up to John's benefit. But because John claimed early, the check Sarah inherited was permanently small. This is the hidden cost of stopping the grind without a transition plan. When one spouse dies, the household loses the smaller of the 2 Social Security checks immediately, but the tax bill often goes up. As a married couple, your tax brackets are wide, and your standard deduction is high. The moment Sarah became a single filer, her deduction was cut in half and her tax brackets compressed. The same income that was comfortable for 2 people is suddenly taxed much harder for one. This is why just stopping isn't enough. You have to structure the handoff. If you are the higher earner, your decision to stop saving or claim benefits early isn't just about your timeline. It's about the floor you are building for your spouse 20 years from now. You have to look at the survivor math before you let go of the engine, because the goal isn't just for you to make it to the finish line. It's for the person you love to stay secure after you're gone. Once your portfolio growth doubles your savings, your labor has lost its leverage. You're working for pennies compared to what your investments do while you sleep. But before you stop, we need guardrails. You need a permission system to handle the 3 big wealth killers that could derail your progress. First is the inflation-adjusted target. You can't use today's dollars for a retirement decades away. If you need $2 million today, you'll likely need $3.8 million in 20 years, just to keep the same purchasing power. Inflation is a silent drain. Use a real return, your growth minus inflation, to make sure your enough stays enough. Second is sequence of returns risk. This is the danger of the market dropping 20% the year you stop contributing. It's easy to stop when the market is at all-time highs, but harder when your balance is bleeding. Don't stop saving during a bear market. Wait for a valuation cushion, so a temporary dip doesn't send you back to the office in a panic. Third is the healthcare bridge. If you stop the grind at 50, you have 15 years before Medicare. You need a plan for private premiums or a robust HSA. A single emergency can wipe out years of growth. Treat healthcare as a fixed cost until you hit 65. To handle this, build a war chest. Before you stop saving, redirect that cash into 2 or 3 years of living expenses in a high-yield account. This is your volatility shield. If the market slumps, you live off the cash instead of selling stocks at a discount. This brings us to the most powerful tool in the transition phase, the golden window. This is the period between when you stop working, say age 62, and when your mandatory withdrawals and Social Security fully kick in at age 70 or 73. During these years, your taxable income is likely the lowest it will ever be for the rest of your life. This is your chance to execute the Roth conversion ladder. You move money from a traditional IRA, where every dollar is a tax-time bomb, into a Roth IRA where it grows tax-free forever. Because your income is low in this window, you can pay the tax at the 10% or 12% bracket now, rather than being forced into the 22% or 24% bracket later when required minimum distributions start. If you keep grinding and saving into a traditional 401k until the very last second, you miss this window. You end up with a massive pre-tax account that eventually triggers what we call the tax torpedo. This happens when your forced withdrawals are so high they actually push your Social Security benefits into being 85% taxable and trigger Medicare surcharges called IRMAA. You've spent 30 years doing what the system told you, saving, saving, saving. But if you don't use the golden window to restructure that wealth, the system penalizes you for your success. Stopping the contributions early isn't just about not working. It's about creating the space to move your money from the government's pocket into yours. You are trading a few extra years of salary for a lifetime of tax-free growth. That is a trade that makes sense every single time. The hardest part isn't the math. It's the identity shift. If you've been a professional saver for 20 years, stopping feels like a betrayal. You feel irresponsible. But once you hit your number, every extra dollar you save is stolen from your current self. You're giving resources to a future version of you that already has enough. Stopping the obsessing lets you buy back your time. This might mean a lower-paying job you actually like or dropping to 3 days a week. Remember the go-go, slow-go, and no-go years. You value travel and adventure most between 40 and 60. These are your peak energy years. If you spend those years grinding for a 401k you don't need, you're over-saving into a retirement of regret. You're trading mountain hikes for $300 a month at age 80. Try the one more year test. If working another year only bumps your check by 2%, it's a failure. You're trading 365 days for a rounding error. Graduate from accumulation to intentional living. In the first half of life, money is security. In the second half, time is the only currency that matters. Every dollar is now a tool for freedom. If you keep building when the house is finished, you'll never live in it. Here are the tools to see if you've already won. Step 1. Take your expected annual spending and divide by 0.04. That's your finish line. Step 2. Divide that finish line by 1.07 raised to the power of the years you have left until retirement. That's your coast number, the amount you need today to hit your goal without adding another cent. The final step is the check. Is your current balance higher than that coast number? If yes, you're working for fun. You've crossed the line. Take one step to make it real. Look at your pay stub and imagine what that retirement contribution could do for your life right now. Maybe it's a family vacation or the breathing room to quit overtime. If the math says you're there, stop acting like you're one mistake from disaster. One shift today is the difference between a wealthy retirement and a wealthy life. If this helped you, hit subscribe and join us. I'm glad you're here. I'll see you in the next one.